Hello, everybody. It is Friday, and that means it's time for me and Joni to go live to talk with you about everything you need to know to write, publish, and promote a great book.
Hello,
I'm,
everybody. It is
whoops,
Friday, and
love
that
that
means it's time
echo.
for me and Joni to go live to talk with.
Yes. Thank you, technology. Needed to say it twice. So here we are. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, co-founder of Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, and Joanie Lindenmeyer is one of our superstar authors. And we're so excited to be here as we are every Friday to talk with you, aspiring writers out there, about everything you need to know to write, publish, and promote a great book. So welcome, Joanie.
Well, welcome to you too, and thank you for saying that. And you're always so kind in your introductions. You're just, I know you do that for everybody because that's just who you are, but that's so important. And so I send my gratitude and I send my yahoos to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Joni. Thank you. Well, we have a hot topic today, and it is about finding the courage to write about taboo topics and publishing them in a book for all the world to see. So, Joni, you've done that 3 times with your memoir, Nun Better, an amazing love story about being a lesbian in a time when it was very difficult to come out, dangerous, and having a 40-year adventure with Carol. That was the most amazing life story, love story. And then we did Joyously Free Together, stories and tips to live your truth as LGBTQ plus people, parents, and allies. And then you have the book we also did, Healing Religious Hurts, Stories and Tips to Find Love and Peace, where we all shared our viewpoints about religion. And so we also have 32 contributors in Joyously Free and 17 in Healing Religious Hurts, everybody who's courageously sharing their stories. And so, Joni, what are your thoughts about the importance of finding the courage to write about taboo topics?
Well, when you came up with that theme, that suggestion for what we could talk about today, I was actually thinking, what more can I even say to all those aspiring writers and authors? Because I feel like we've done so many of these. I was like, what more do I have to say? And then when you came up with courage and taboo topics, my mind just spun around like crazy, going, first off, courage, that's an internal thing that can just be expressed, and you figure out when, where, and how for you personally to do that. And then the topic of taboo, I started thinking, well, what is taboo? What is a taboo topic? And it was like my mind was just going ballistic, thinking, well, what really is a taboo topic? It's something to me that people don't understand. It's not a part of their life. Um, are they open to hearing different perspectives and different opinions? And so I thought, my gosh, Elizabeth is the guru for taboo topics because you have the total guts and courage on your Goddess Power show, in your books, helping people to say their truth. And so I know I'm rambling here, but I think what a great topic. And so I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in here with one prop, which I
Okay.
think is a really cool taboo topic. And I've talked a little bit about this. So I hope people aren't bored if I'm repeating myself, which we've done for 80 some top podcasts, maybe. But my taboo topic, and what a lot of times what people come to think about is things like sex or drugs or just things within those realms. And so, but my taboo topic is angels. Is
Oh,
angels. And the reason I bring that up as a taboo topic is I think that everybody has a guardian angel or fleet of angels
yes.
that guides them, helps them, protects them. But not all people believe in angels. Some you don't see angels, you may not feel angels. It is so of a deep thing spiritually, not just religious, but spiritually. And I think angels is an incredible taboo topic. And so I'm just throwing that out there, and we'll see where this collaboration and this discussion goes. So that's what came to my mind. But I want to hear from you, Elizabeth. When you think of taboo topics, what are you thinking about?
Well, first, let me just share that the motivation for this topic today was I was book coaching someone and they were telling me the topic of their book, which is super powerful unto itself. And then they brought up the fact that there's a supernatural element to it.
Ooh.
And they asked, should that be included in the book?
Mhm.
And I said, it's your decision. It depends who your audience is and who your target readers are. And I say yes, because the more we bring what they're considering a taboo topic out into the open, the less taboo it becomes. So, Joni, for me, taboo topic is like you listed a few, anything that is deemed potentially inappropriate, possibly offensive. But the core of it is what you personally feel is taboo or what the people around you may view as taboo or what your readers may view as taboo. And so oftentimes people don't want to write about a particular topic because it could have really bad consequences for their career.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Many people write under a pseudonym or pen name for that reason, for their family. If they're writing about things that happened in their family, like sexual abuse as a child, for example, that's very common, sadly. But if you're going to talk about how that happened and the people are still alive and charges were never pressed, it was just a family secret that was very damaging. And now the person wants to write about it as their own therapy and um, showcasing their strength to the world. How do you handle that? I get that question so much from people.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's a taboo topic, and it's up to each individual person to weigh the benefits of them telling the story in their book versus the consequences that might happen as a result of publishing it in a book. So the bottom line is, Joni, it comes down to each person's decision. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree with that. And they need to listen deeply to what that is for them. And thank goodness that you are there with them on this journey, because so many times I know when I was writing None Better and Joyously Free and Healing Religious Hurts, there were some topics and conversations and stories I wanted to share. And my attitude is I'm literally out there.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
that's because of None Better. You helped me through that process to become publicly out there, which a lot of people, that is a fear. That is scary. There, like you said, there are consequences or repercussions. I remember when you even on the back of the cover of Joyously Free, you mentioned a sentence about Joni is an LGBTQ activist. And I thought my first reaction was, oh my gosh, here I am, Joan of Arc. I could be burned at the stake for this one in my community, not knowing what was going to happen and the repercussions when you're really out there standing up for and saying what is on your heart and using your voice to the power to be bold and bright, and you have taught me that it's wonderful to do that because our world needs that and it's healing on the inside. So
Yes.
my
Yeah.
compliments to the person you're working with. Oh my gosh, and helping this person to find their space to be able to say what they want to say and feel good about it and feel
Yes.
really good about it.
Yes. Yes.
So congratulations to whoever you are. I hope I get to meet you someday because I bet you are just full of charism or charismatic, or what's the word I want to say? Spunk, pizzazz. I can't wait to meet you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for that encouragement for them, Joni.
Yeah.
It's a pretty common question, though, because people just don't know what to put and what to leave out, and they don't want to, quote, offend people. But I think the more bold all of us can be, the better. And there's a time and a place for revealing certain information, and only we know. So, for
Mhm.
example, my mother, she was abused by her adoptive mother, and she chose to wait till her mother died before she wrote her wrote and published her memoir. She didn't want to out my grandmother in terms of her abuse. It just wouldn't serve any purpose. My grandmother was super old and she became sweeter. My mother just forgave her, and it wasn't time until my grandmother had passed, and then my mother wrote the book. So we each have to make our own decisions and also weigh the consequences. Um, and we also get to decide what's taboo. And if we're called to write about something taboo, then we should do it.
Mhm.
Because, like you mentioned with my podcast, I feel very, very strongly about liberating women from the conditioning that we've had since birth about how we should act, speak, live, love, work, play. It enrages me that we've been conditioned to stay small and scared and don't speak up and stay in our place. And the podcast explores taboo topics, especially sex, relationships, identity, to give women the courage, the voice, the dialogue, the ideas, the examples of everyday people who are doing it and not conforming to all of the very oppressive boxes. And when a person writes a book, it is an invitation that gives other people permission to step out of the confines of their past, their thinking, their behavior, their conditioning, the expectations of their family, religion, and society, and just be the bold badass that they're born to be.
Mhm. 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 And to me, when you say all that, Elizabeth, I am so grateful for bookstores and libraries that are willing to have such a diverse array of books written by a diverse group of authors from around the world. So when you go into a bookstore or a library, you get to pick and choose what you want to read.
Mhm.
You're not censored, but you get to pick, what do you want to read, and who do you want to read it from? I just think that is such a blessing. And I bet you, and I'm not a super international traveler, but I bet you there are countries that is much more censored
Mhm.
and not able to see people's writings and read their tips on life and education and whatever their philosophies may be. So I'm just so grateful for our libraries and our bookstores, and
Yes, yes, yes.
including online bookstores. When I
Mhm.
go through and I look at your website, you and Catherine, your two sisters writing, and to go into that bookstore and see all the different kinds of books and authors, that is incredible. It is
Thank
incredible, and someday, my big dream with two sisters is I'd love to have a two sisters author gathering. Let's have a party. Let's all come together and celebrate each other. I don't know. I think there's power in that celebration because just like you and Catherine have written, you're role models for all of us. And hopefully what I've written, I've been a role model for people as well.
you.
So,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, stay tuned for our 10-year anniversary, Joni, because we are planning something big and bold and awesome for all of our authors, including you. So just stay tuned for early 2026. That will be our 10-year anniversary of Two Sisters Writing and Publishing.
all righty. Cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. 10
Thank
years.
you.
That's awesome. That's
Oh,
awesome.
thanks.
You
Thank
know?
you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So if you were to say, Elizabeth, in our world today, what would be like the top three or four taboo topics that you think are ripe in this nation right now? What would be those topic themes?
In this nation, that opens the door to a whole nother conversation, Joni, but
Mhm.
there actually are book bans. There are book bans in schools and libraries and communities because people don't want what they call taboo topics, especially LGBTQ plus books.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that's a real problem. And thankfully, librarians and others, groups are standing up and saying, no, you cannot ban books in the United States of America, where the First Amendment of the Constitution is free speech. So, unfortunately, we are in an era where people are trying to censor information, and that's why everyone needs to be more bold than ever.
which brings me to a point of what happened this last week. You know, I do so many book events and I'm always texting or emailing people. Hey, would you help support? Would you recommend, spread the word to your friends and family to come to this book event? Well, I got a response back from somebody and they said, I can't do that.
Why?
Literally, I can't do that. They wouldn't be able to support and recommend a friend to come to a book event. And I thought, wow, it blew me away that they couldn't do that. So whatever it is in one of my books or all three of my books, they weren't willing to go to invite other people to attend. I thought, isn't that interesting?
But
And
why
to
they
me,
wait,
and I
Joan.
don't know the reason why they didn't want to get into a discussion or anything about it, but
Oh,
the words were, I can't do that. And
oh,
I thought, to me, to invite somebody to something doesn't mean that you have to uh, totally agree with everything. But when you're invited to something, you can check it out with an open mind, have that parachute mind that's open, and then
uh-huh.
decide for yourself. So, but I just want to throw that out there. Isn't that interesting?
It's fascinating. Oh my gosh, it's really sad, but there could be a lot of things, and we don't need to speculate, but just it could be
Right.
the topic that they don't want to be um, publicly engaged in, something that has come under fire,
Yes.
sadly. That's
Yes.
too
So I didn't
bad.
mean to interrupt you there, but that just really stood out in my mind.
No, but it just shows how very real this point is, and the bottom line is we want to encourage people to find the courage to write about, speak about, publish about the topics that they deem taboo. So you asked what are the top ones? Sex is definitely one of them. Religion can be a taboo topic if you are going against your family's beliefs, your faith community's beliefs that you were raised in, society's beliefs. Um, and even I know people who are super Christian, and when I start talking about spirituality and chakras and, Sanskrit words for, energy centers in our bodies, and they're like, they can't receive that because they see it as anti-Christian. It's not. It's about love and peace and spirit connecting to God and spirit universe. But to them, that's taboo. To me, it's normal. And
Right.
so we as writers, when I wrote God's Answer is No, I express KNOW. I expressed all of that from my perspective boldly, that I can communicate with angels, that I can communicate with spirit, that I've had experiences in meditation with Jesus, non-denominational Jesus who loves everybody. That's controversial unto itself because a lot
Yes.
of people think Jesus is only for Christians. No. So that's taboo, Joni.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
taboo, and I don't care. I'm writing about it because that's my experience directly from spirit. And I trust that. I know that. And I want to share that with other people who are open to receiving. So that's the bottom line for all of you authors out there. You need to share your unique perspective, even if some people oppose it, because you are giving them permission. You are showing them the way to a new way of thinking, living, loving, working, playing, um, loving on themselves, having a spiritual connection, whatever it is. You are a leader as a book author. And the word author is inside the word authority. You are an authority on that topic just by your own personal experience. And by sharing that, you can help change the world for the better.
Absolutely. And there's the authenticity part too,
Yes. All right.
Yes, being authentic. Yes,
Mhm, mhm.
for sure. Good
And Joni,
points.
thanks. There are times when it's not okay to write about a particular thing if the consequences of you publishing something could hurt people.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
so it's each person's decision to um, figure out, or as you say, discern
mhm,
um,
mhm,
what and when. There might be a
mhm.
better time to disclose certain information in a book than right now. So we have lots of time. I mean, people come to me, I gave them my business card 15 years ago, and then they come, I'm ready. So
Yeah,
divine timing, which I think you and I have talked about in a podcast, divine timing is something to consider when writing a book. It really matters.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I know for myself, each time, from None Better, Joyously Free and Healing Religious Hurts, to me, it was that prayer and discernment that gave me the answers to move forward at this time. And there are times where you go to the prayer corner, you go to wherever it is in your spirit mind, and you just know it's not the right time, like you just said,
Right.
Yeah, so
So
true.
you and I both know that writing is a very spiritual process, that we get downloads and guidance and channeling from spirit. And it's important for every writer, whether you believe in that or not, to get still and silent, shut out the noise of the world, all the opinions that everybody's going to shower on you. And what do you want? Ask your heart, ask your soul, ask your inner self, your higher self, what's the best path for me to follow right now?
Mm-hmm.
Really
Yep,
important.
exactly.
Mhm.
And related to that, Elizabeth, I think about the contributing writers that we have in Joyously Free and Healing Religious Hurts. And you mentioned it earlier, 32 writers who have never written before in Joyously Free, 17 in Healing Religious Hurts. And I know that when I asked the people in my circle if they would be willing to write, what a movement that was for them in their own heart, and that they needed to take to their spirit God, their prayer to say yay or nay. And I so appreciate the growth in each one of them. I think of Ruthie, and I think of Michael, and I think of all of them. I think in all 32, all 17. I don't want to name all of them right now, but they all had their own journey figuring out, is this the right timing? Is this the time for me to be courageous and spill out my issues and my concerns and my joys, all of that? And then not just the timing, but am I the one to do that? And so it was big for them to make that decision. And I think that's part of the collaboration that you and I can instill in other people, that let's talk about it. Let's be on this journey together. Let's talk about it. I don't just need a yes or a no. Let's talk about it. Because if we don't talk about things, we don't really discuss. And you and I seem to do that really well on podcasts. We just really throw it all out there and see where it goes. But to actually sit and talk with somebody and talk about it and listen to where they're coming from, where they've been and what their heart is saying. So compliments to all those people that contributed to
Yes.
the, and one of the taboo topics was in Healing Religious Hurts. Ruthie talks about an annulment. That was huge. That's a taboo topic in terms of
Mm.
divorce, separation, relationship related around Christianity or religion. And then the other taboo topic I think of Michael. I think of Michael and his connection with the deceased and how he can channel and be that connection, that transformer for other people. Oh my gosh. Oh, oh.
Yes. I love that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, so the bottom line is write from your heart and soul, discern whether this is the right time to reveal whatever information it is, pertaining to your quote taboo topic, and decide, you could always write it and publish it later. But if you're called to do it, just invest the time and energy now to write it and then wait if you need to. Um,
Mhm.
so it's up to every individual person. But finding the courage, I mean, even when I wrote my spiritual memoir, I had to really muster, I'd never talked about my experiences in my meditations that are so psychedelic. I'd never told anybody them. I just put them in a book and published it.
Go. Hey, let's give you a high 10 for that. High 10. Woohoo.
Yeah,
That's
that's pretty,
gutsy. That's
I
gutsy.
know. My heart was like, but a lot of authors get so anxious when their book is about to come out because it's like, I had this one time I was at the airport and I was walking up to a crowded gate for my flight, and there were, I mean, so many people everywhere. And I thought, what if every person here had read my book and they saw me coming and they turned around and like, were like this, like whispering to each other, like, did you read that? And I thought, oh my gosh, it really makes you think about what you put and share because it's for all the world to see, and that's the point. But at the same time, and you know what? I recently, someone I mentor who I just adore, a young woman, and she read God's Answer is No, and she texted me saying she'd been reading it for 3 hours straight and couldn't put it down. It was so touching and transformative for her. And so when you get notes like that, when you write with courage and publish it in a book, and then someone texts you that, it is so incredible. And so I hope that all of you aspiring authors can have that experience. You cannot put a dollar amount on that, that your words, your story, your information is actually touching someone's heart, their soul, inspiring their mind, giving them a framework of how they can of how they can be, and giving them permission to unleash whatever it is holding them back and
Mhm,
be their
mhm,
greatest, biggest, boldest, best self.
mhm.
And your book can help make that happen. I know this one is doing that for people for sure.
Totally, totally. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. Yeah. And I think of the people I've met through you and your business. And first off, starting with your sister, Catherine, I love her books and the whole biracial, which I think is a taboo topic as well. And your experiences as kids growing up in the environment of having Black mom, white dad. And I'm just sort of making that real simple there, but that's how people sometimes look at it. There's a lot more to it. But Catherine's words are just so good in her stories. I think of Bethany and the mental things mental challenges she's been through. I think of Melissa,
Mhm.
and what she's gone through. And then I think of well, just recently, how about Elmer Dixon? Holy molies.
Yeah.
I mean, you have so many incredible people that you have helped write their books and tell their story. And it's inspiring. It is
Mhm.
absolutely inspiring to
Thanks,
to
Tony.
read their works.
So, just for all of you watching or listening, you're not familiar with all the people Joanie just mentioned. Bethany Boyk is the best-selling author of Diary of a Schizophrenic, and she has schizophrenia, and she has such a courageous story about how she has suffered from this since age 13 with so many medications and hospitalizations and struggles, and how she's just triumphing over it. She went to college. She's a speaker nationally on mental health, and now she's speaking out on a whole new level with the current events and how they're affecting her as a disabled woman. And so that's Bethany. And then you also mentioned Elmer Dixon, who is one of our best-selling authors of Die Standing. He was a Black Panther Party leader in 1968, and he turned into a global diversity consultant. And we just had an author talk with him this week where people from across the country came and heard him speak on Zoom about his story and how it pertains to current events. It was very, very powerful and inspiring. So we're all about that. And Joni, thank you for recognizing it.
Oh, totally, totally. Yes. Thank
You're
you. Thank you.
welcome. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
And it goes back to courage, doesn't it? Which was your topic theme today.
Hmm.
Having the courage to write about taboo topics, whatever
Hmm.
that taboo is. And
Yes.
all of those people in my world, they are out. They are
Yes.
out. It's not just a sexual identity queer issue, being out in your own way, being out in
Mm.
your own way.
Very powerful. So, for all of you watching or listening today, we hope that you can glean some nuggets of inspiration, motivation, courage from our conversation. If you need any help writing your book, please go to twosisterswriting.com to the coaching page. I'd be delighted to help you. And you can also reach Joanie at Joanie Lindenmeyer on Facebook and also on TikTok and
TikTok
Instagram.
and Instagram. And
Mhm.
on my radio show, Joyously
Oh,
Free,
yep. And where is that located, Joni?
kciw.org. Joyously Free, kciw.org.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, thank you. And for all of you, please go to twosisterswriting.com, check out our books and our services, and we wish you happy reading and happy writing. We'll see you next week.
Got it. Bye, everybody.